3 games on it because he's played a plethora of champions across the course of the split, one of the highest champion pools for any mid laner in the LCS. We will have the Tahm Kench ban away as well from Splyce, and Caitlyn removed by the Ninjas in Pyjamas.
So nothing out of the ordinary from the Ninjas in Pyjamas bans. I like this Tahm Kench ban because one of the things NIP did very well was when they were playing with the Tahm Kench, it's basically macro play by the numbers. Every time the ultimate's available, you just get 3 people and you go to the side lane and you kill anybody that's there. Not the case this time around. And interesting priority, the Kog'Maw being taken away. Now, is that going to be a Kalista available for first pick for Splyce? Very different draft here, taking away one of the scaling and lane matchups that can do okay.
It is interesting, especially since we haven't seen Hiku play that Kog'Maw at all. Ninjas took away another jungler, and it meant that Splyce will get the Cho'Gath for themselves.
That, of course, does leave Kalista Thresh available. One thing Kog'Maw is very good at is tank shredding as well, so if Splyce were looking to set up, for instance, a Cho'Gath pick, you can take away one of the AD carries that would have done very well. So, for Ninjas in Pyjamas, the Braum has also been high priority, but it is that Thresh that we were coming to expect. For now, though, is it going to be the jungle pick for Shook? He's got Gragas, Sejuani, Kha'Zix. All of these picks are available. Splyce can't ban all of them out, but it could be the Cho'Gath in the top lane if they end up flexing it.
It's a possibility. It's something we saw in the North American Challenger Series a lot, actually. That Cho'Gath being taken top, and then a Gragas alongside it out of the jungle. Trashy, very comfortable on the Gragas, and NIP will realize that. They'll take it away for Shook. This is the first time he's played Gragas this split, but it suits the meta junglers a lot more.
Yeah, also does give them that flex potential ever so slightly. Gragas not seen too much in the top lane anymore, but certainly if the matchup favors it, you can end up taking that neutralizing top lane. However, we're looking at bottom lane right now for Splyce. Will it be the AD carry presence with the Kalista here? Will it be the Varus that we've seen out of Kobbe as well?
It's going to be the Syndra instead, Stress. So those AD carries looking towards that second rotation. Senkuk's very happy with his R presses in the first game, has realized he can do that once again. And NIP perhaps will look to answer the mid lane.
One champion that is good at denying the R press is that Fizz. We saw the hover over. It's a good matchup in Syndra, but would be expecting a more standard, less all-in focus. This Orianna would be a decent pick for NIP if they wanted it. Gives them that team fight presence from Nagne, some insurance with regards to scaling. So now we might see NIP ban away the AD carries, but that would hinder their own pool. If they were to look to leave one up, take it and ban away everything else.
I think leaving that Ashe up for Hiku is one of the few champions we've seen him have a really strong laning phase on and a strong game on. You could get rid of the Varus, perhaps some Kobbe, because you do have that first AD carry pick here, and you can still keep the Gragas flexing because you've got final pick as well. It's a missed ban for NIP.
We'll just get confirmation on whether that was intentional out of NIP, as I think the Ashe actually would suit Splyce the best, because that's one of the real drawbacks of this Cho'Gath if it ends up in the jungle. Of course, getting the fight started for Cho is the difficult thing. We saw yesterday's Xerxes of the Unicorns of Love trying to play it against Roccat, didn't actually end up having the best time of it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see exactly where the two teams go. NIP now, once again, will ban out the Varus this time, so that has been removed. Splyce have their second ban of this second phase, and perhaps we'll look towards that AD carry role. Still, it does mean we'll have a lot of strong top laners open here, Stress.
I've had confirmation that there was, in fact, a ban in Phase 2 for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and it was Jax. It is an error in our pick and ban spectator right now. So Jax is banned away. Kalista banned out by Splyce. Varus banned once again by NIP, and Tristana off the board as well. That Ashe, if it doesn't get picked now, Hiku, it's going to get taken away by Splyce.
There's still the Jhin open that we did see banned in game one as well, so that's a possibility. An AD carry that has been on the outskirts of the meta for a while.
You can play Jhin into Ashe, and vice versa. We've also got the Xayah available, another scaling AD carry. Now, if Kobbe was to pick the Jhin, you're playing for the laning phase. Long-range snare can assist with the Cho'Gath. It's not perfect, but it still does the job.
And this is something we should discuss, because a problem we've seen with Cho'Gath is the fact that he needs crowd control in his lanes to help him get these ganks off. Very good at following up.
Excited if we see this Jhin.
I'll be very intrigued as well to see how it does develop. It's going to be a compelling bottom lane here. Stress, a lot of crowd control for Splyce, and they're looking towards top or perhaps jungle.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, don't do this to me.
2 days in a row, Medic.
We're a good luck charm, Stress. If this does get locked in, it will be our second Kane of the EU LCS, trying to get a win on the board for him.
Ooh.
Oh!
Mickey's a troll.
Boo!
They're looking at us. Mickey and Kobe were looking at us, taunting us. Damn.
Nah, good
They're
guys.
in our heads. However, double Duskblade coming out from Splyce. We're wise on this one, Straddle.
Don't mess with my heart like this, Battle. You know you want to do it. It's going to be top lane Nart for NIP. Let's bring it back, Stress. Let's have a look at how these compositions have developed. Splyce, great crowd control coming out, and it is going to be a Cho'Gath top for them.
Right, that's what we didn't end up talking about because of the hysteria over the Kayn Hover. Now, Prophet will have the lane phase advantage. Nart into a melee matchup is a difficult lane for the melee champion, and that is to be expected here, as Prophet should be able to take control of the lane. However, Trashy, early game damage, Senkux, early game damage, Kobbe will have that Duskblade spike that we've seen be also prevalent. So Splyce on the bottom half of the map, very deadly early on, and up against the Xayah, up against an Orianna. These are champions that likely will not be able to contend with that much damage in the early onset of the game.
It's a big question as to whether NIP can keep their hopes alive of a series win, or whether Splyce will take another victory once again. It's a balancing act, you have to feel some of the time for NIP. Their early game has looked good at times, Stress. It has looked strong, and if you think perhaps they can translate that early game presence into a win here, make sure you jump on Twitter at LOL Esports. Hashtag NIP win if you think the Ninjas will sneak away their first game, and hashtag SPY win if you think Splyce will sink in the fangs and close out the series.
Mickey's a big troll. the grin on his face when I turned to look at Splyce and ask what was going on. Well, we got baited, man.
We did. We got totally jebaited by them there, and we are going to get onto these Summoners Rift for what could be the final game of the day. Splyce are going to take on the Ninjas in pajamas. And we'll have to wait and see how this early game develops once again. I want to put particular focus down towards that bottom side of the map. It could be explosive.
Yeah, especially on that fourth shot from Jhin. If you compare that with Duskblade as we get the fly through to start things off. And Jhin, typically decent in the laning phase for being a bit of a bully. If you can connect with that fourth shot from Jhin, of course, you get that massive surge of extra damage on the guaranteed crit. And Kobbe should be able to take control. We spoke in game one about how much Kobbe and Mickey love to be aggressive in the lane, set up plays. Well, they got a Braum that can land the Q and combo in with the Kha'Zix and the Jhin. I want to see how much they can get done here, because Hiku and Spraddle, they got caught skirmishing in the first game a couple times too often.
And something we also saw in the first game was Shook's priority up towards this top side on this Lee Sin. He was looking for regular ganks up there. Now he's got the Gragas, has a bit more crowd control. Prophet has a winning lane on the top side as well. Will we see NIP focusing more pressure up towards that top side, knowing that the bottom side of the map perhaps won't go in their favor?
I think they have to, realistically. I think they really have to get Prophet ahead and get him control of the side lane. One thing I'm expecting out of Wunder, Righteous Glory. Build path now includes armor. It actually goes well against the Gnar, and allows Splyce to have that ability to get Cho'Gath into the fights. That's obviously a later item. We're seeing the early game super leash start out of Splyce, where Trashy takes a small Raptors, goes over to his bottom lane, having started the red buff for him. Trashy can secure that very easily and look to get out on the map a little bit faster. It's not the option you can have on the red side. You can see Shook is going to be a little bit behind the curve.
It's intriguing as well, because we've developed this story about Trashy being this tanky, cerebral jungler who thinks about his gank paths and plays around the map, doesn't really go for these assassins. This game, he's on Kha'Zix. Shook is the assassin jungler. He's the one who wants to go for these aggressive carries. And now he's on Gragas for the first time in the split. Basically the first time he's played a pure tank jungler as well. Did have an Olaf game earlier on and a few Rek'Sai games, but those are more bruisery. This is a pure tank who is looking to facilitate his team.
Yeah, and we'll see whether he can actually get the team rolling, get them into fights. While we're looking at an unorthodox matchup in the top lane, I actually want to maybe ponder on some of the reasons we're seeing Cho'Gath top lane and how maybe it's not quite as detrimental as I first thought against the Gnar. So Cho'Gath's passive gives him a lot of sustain in the laning phase, and his new E, the ability to get % health damage, works very well against tanks. So in mini Gnar form, maybe not exactly the best of damage output, but look at how well Cho'Gath is farming now. Hasn't missed a CS yet in this game, and is full health against a Gnar. Now, Wunder has been trading mana for that privilege to do it, but certainly not the anticipated result for the first couple of waves of minions of this matchup. And I want to keep a look now as Wunder and Prophet face off head-to-head, because Trashy is still around that top side.
And it's Trashy who's putting the priority up towards the top side to start us off. He went, stole away the Krugs, perhaps looked to see if he could get a gank on towards Prophet. Wunder is pushing in that lane. Cho'Gath, of course, very strong with the Bramble Vest as well, which can work into a Gnar because you get that Grievous wounds every time he attacks you.
Yeah.
You get the damage back. And we'll have to wait and see how this develops for the teams.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the itemization in here, in the top lane matchup specifically. As we see Shook head towards the lane, I don't know how much they're going to get done here, because look at the vision control out from Splyce. Wunder will be able to see Shook, because Gragas doesn't exactly have the most different of entries to the lane. They're going to get into the lane here if they can get Wunder.
Wunder's push forward, will flash away. Shook does not follow up, but there's the warp, and this could be Wunder falling for first blood. Great rupture. The red buff slow into a building. NIP with first blood once again.
Exactly what we wanted to see from NIP. Get Prophet ahead, get the kills up in that top lane, and exploit this Cho'Gath, who for the most part has been pushing for the first few minutes. They get the kill, and that is exactly what NIP needed to do.
And it's a weakness of Cho'Gath as well. We talk about his strengths, also have to talk about his weaknesses. Trashy is going to get on towards Nagne here, who melts him down quite a lot, actually. Getting a lot of damage, flashes for it. That's not enough with the final auto attack.
Nagne got a little bit baited by the fact he has this Storm Raider Surge, was able to just keep
gotta go fast,
stick on to Trashy at that point. So this is a top lane gank. We were talking about how maybe because of the ward it would have been enough, but look, Wunder takes a lot of damage off the first hyper proc, and then from there Prophet is close enough to flash wallop, gets the damage down, and it's just the case of lining up the clock. Is it the clock? He's gentleman now. I think it's a clock tower, isn't it?
Yes, clock tower probably. It's a type of building.
Just throw
Maybe
the
it's
clock
Big Ben. Maybe it's Big Ben. We'll go with Big Ben. And with that kill, NIP now have 16 first bloods in their 20 games for the split. One of the highest percentages in the league, in all honesty. I think just behind Fnatic right at the top. And this is the NIP early game that we extolled in the first game, Stress. This is where we said they get their advantages, and this is where we want to see them snowball from, because they do have a lead. They do have 300 gold at the 6-minute mark, and they do have the opportunity to gank top once again.
They can maybe get that Gragas into the lane again. I've been told by our stats team it's actually the highest, so maybe they give you misinformation, man. No, it wasn't them. They never get things wrong.
They didn't give me the information. I was trying to work it out in my head, so it's my math skills being awful.
Trying to save you.
Lantern is going to come down here for Hiku, but he cannot click on it. The heal comes out. Hook actually onto Cobby. Does not have the final shot, and Hiku flashed away.
Hiku needed to flash out. Of course, the reload was coming from Cobby. Couldn't quite get that last bit of damage out. I feel like I'm going to get reprimanded by our stats team for even daring to say.
Don't doubt the stats team. They'll just give you misinformation for the next
They're going to feed me really bad stats.
Very small bits of misinformation that make you sound like you haven't quite done your research correctly. That's another reason I had to quit my job as a doctor. But anyway, coming back to the game, let's have a look at top once again, because Wunder is equal on CS, is pushing this way with the Vorpal spikes. That E, you can't really control where it's pushing. Actually just immediately feasted as soon as he hit the level 6. So has got one stack on that feast procced up.
You want to get that immediate stacking going, making sure, of course you get a reduced cooldown on it compared to when you use it on champions, so you can build the first few stacks up very quickly. Keep in mind, you only get 6 from minions and monsters, so you have to then get the additional stacks to get that max champion size, get the max attack range increase on Cho'Gath to be at that full 10 stacks.
Control ward is clearing out vision here for Splyce. Nagne in the middle lane needs to be careful, because here come Trashy and Mickey going to try and get the stun. Shockwave brings them back. Senkus once again presses R.
Yeah, the early game presence from that middle lane from Splyce is enough to carry on through. And I want to see Splyce continue to do this until this Cho'Gath has got a bunch of stacks, because while it might have been those things that have a cap that I was talking about on stacks, you do not get a cap on the maximum health you get, the scaling on your E. These stack infinitely, and that makes Cho'Gath very deadly because he doesn't lose them when he dies anymore. So you get the first stacks very easily, and if you work for the rest of them, generally you one-shot 80 carries later on in the game.
Can do a lot of work for you, and at the moment, Splyce are having a lot of work done in this bottom lane as well. Kobbe's got a 10 CS lead, and this is something we have seen from him time and time again. In game 1, he had a 3 CS lead, didn't even get killed, had a huge gold lead as well because of those lane swaps, because of being able to pick up the extra gold from the turrets that Splyce were taking.
It's exactly what we've come to know out of Kobbe and Mickey, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily rate them when you look at, oh, Sven and Mithy, all of these bot lanes, and you can see, despite a failed engage, they still are able to force out the ultimate from Hiku. A lot of people don't put them on those top tier lists, but the players, you listen to them and say, Kobbe and Mickey, very difficult to lane against. They're very aggressive, they know when to push their limits, and you can see that it pays off for Splyce fairly regularly.
And it translates to the numbers as well. Kobbe has the highest CS difference at 10 minutes of any AD carry. On average, he's 5 CS ahead of his lane opponent, and it's just that continual harass, that continually pushing forward that we talked about in game 1 that can make it very difficult, but sometimes it does cost them their life, as NIP came down towards the bottom lane, looking for a gank, decide against it for the time being.
Yeah, couldn't quite get into the lane, but look at the vision control that NIP have. If we can swap over to NIP vision for just a second, I am aware that Gragas could have been heading mid. You can see all the way through the lower vision, the lower jungle, it's all NIP wards, and they're trying to play around any time that Kobbe and Mickey step up in the lane, try and capitalize on this, but look, Shook has now dropped back into his own jungle, and there's an attempt from Trashy in the bottom lane. Warrior enchant is complete. The damage could be enough.
Can avoid assault in, jumps forward as well. Sprattle trying to distract. He puts down the lantern. Here come the TBs, but Sprattle is not long for the rift. Instead, Shook comes in, and there's the hook as well. Trashy's going to get knocked back. The Gnar comes out. Trashy will fall. Can they keep Sprattle alive? Kobbe opening up the big guns, looking to see if perhaps he can catch someone, but he just can't do it. Wunder has to flash the wall, and now perhaps we'll see the re-engage onto Shook. Splyce take one, NIP take one as well.
Sprattle played the beginning of that fight very well. I mean, his Thresh we saw a couple of weeks ago be a standout pick for him, and he gets his hands on it again. Denies the follow-up in the bottom lane to kill Hiku, and Splyce didn't quite get as clean a team fight as they were expecting, or at least skirmish in this bottom lane. Like, look at how Sprattle utilizes the Flay here, because out of the darkness comes Trashy, jumps in onto Hiku, double Flay, maybe even the 3 of them were caught there, and then they are able to buy enough time with the box, the exhaust. Shook rescues Sprattle at the same time. Sun's out, guns out, but unfortunately, no more kills to be found. At least from Kobbe at that point. It ends up being Wunder that picks up a kill from that, and Splyce just take a 1-for-1.
A little bit of an overextension by Shook at the end, perhaps looking at just for too much going towards that bush. Also, that Jhin music during the replay is just so soothing. I thought perhaps I'd gone to a spa for a little bit, just like relaxing, as Jhin plays his wonderful overtones across the rift. Sprattle and Shook are going to look for the Rift Herald here.
The old switcheroo. The Rift Herald thinks they're coming over the wall and headbutts the wall.
It's a wrestling move, probably.
They don't headbutt walls.
I don't know. You watch it.
That's fine, but
all in the name of entertainment. NIP will be looking for the Rift Herald, as you say. And actually, let's come back to this top lane, because although Prophet's got a second kill here, he's behind in CS to Wunder, who's gone Ninja Tabi, Glacial Shroud as well. Early armor itemization.
And gotta go fast, wants that righteous glory for the rest of this game. That was the item, the big one that we wanted people to buy on Cho'Gath, and seems to be on the way. Splyce gonna need that to get Wunder into the fights, but outside of Senkux getting a catch, or Kobbe getting a catch with his W, it's actually not the primary hard engage that we would like to see with the Cho'Gath. The Ashe supplemented it very well, but bottom lane, there's a stun, there's a fight.
Senkux is here, he will use the Unleashed Power. Sprattle cannot escape. It's another kill for Splyce, and Splyce are just roaming around this map actually now have the vision control down towards this bottom side.
That was exactly where I was going to go next, Medic, was we had all of the wards bot side for NIP earlier on, and it hasn't done them too much more than just that skirmish they could equalize. Now, Splyce looks to push the bottom lane, looking to get tower first blood for themselves and establish a significant lead in this game.
30 CS in that bottom lane. A tower first blood as well, an Ocean Drake, and this is curtains for NIP. Still unable to win a game if they lose a Drake, and Trashy is going to spell their doom with this Ocean. It's over, guys. FF at 50.
Oh, yeah. The quick stat coming back in again here with the never lose a dragon in a win. I'm not so focused on the dragon right now. You know what I'm focused on, Medic?
Wrestling, probably.
No, the Duskblade. The Duskblade on Jhin. It's finally here. Duskblade has arrived, which means he's going to walk into a fight and just hit somebody really hard. If he can drop vision and then get a fourth shot off, that is really going to hurt.
We're going to watch for it. We're going to build up to it. I want Jaws theme music in the background for this first.
That's Trevor's gimmick.
First auto attack. Yeah, it's your gimmick now, apparently, Stress. Wunder has that Righteous Glory completed. Let's have a quick look across the rest of the items as the Rift Herald comes down in mid. It's Morello versus Morello in the mid lane. No completed item yet for Hiku nor for Prophet. This shows how far Splyce are ahead.
And Kobbe is up in the top lane now, so there's no real way of Splyce to defend this with any sense of solidarity here. So that's actually a nice pickup from NIP, being able to utilize the Rift Herald, break through the mid lane, kind of exploits what they gave away on the bottom side for Splyce. That was the trade that they ended up taking, is bot lane tower now for mid lane tower, thanks to that Rift Herald.
Well, we said we wanted to see teams use it more proactively, not just wait for the cooldown timer to come out, and that's what we've seen from NIP in this game. Saw it from them in the first game as well. They're able to... Oh no, that was Splyce used it in the first game. I keep thinking the red side is the same team, but I need to remember, they switch.
Sometimes.
Depends it's because sometimes they don't switch. It just confuses me. Anyway, Kobbe and Mickey are looking up towards that first tower, second tower in the top lane. We do have Trashy just waiting in the wings as well, so perhaps NIP might get caught out, but Hiku and Sprossel are relatively safe on this Xayah and this Thresh.
I'm a little disappointed. Trashy, it's not going Duskblade yet. That longsword, of course, could go there, but I think likely going Black Cleaver.
Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. It's just we got one Duskblade, and we got a Kayn yesterday. We got a Cho'Gath in the top lane.
Medic, people are looking at this saying, why is this so different to my solo queue? Why doesn't the Duskblade come out all the time? And then you answer with, well, there's a Gragas. On the other side, there's a Gnar who's going to have higher resistances. And quite frankly, flat armor penetration, not so great in those situations. Great for dealing with squishies and team compositions that don't have front lines, but doesn't quite live up. You want the Black Cleaver, get that armor reduction, get the percentage penetration from the Last Whisper items, then you're better against tanks.
You want to reduce the armor rather than just cut through it. That's the difference between professional play and solo queue. In solo queue, people don't know how to build. Just build wrong, and they play the wrong champions.
Have you watched Power of Evil build? Like, that guy, he knows how to build. But
he's like Genja. Remember when Genja was playing all of these weird things and we were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why are you getting tier on Varus? And then it became the thing.
It was Trinity Force on Kog'Maw as well was another one.
Genja broke the meta, and at the moment that's what PoE are doing.
Problem is, in this game, Kobbe is breaking the bank right now with his lead up against Hiku. 1,300 gold. That's a BF Swords difference if he was actually buying it. He's, of course, gone Zeal. Funnily enough, that'll do on the gold difference between the two. And you can see Hiku, he's building for the later game. Likely this Essence Reaver setup that we have seen before. That means Hiku needs more time, and I feel a little bit like that story ran all the way through game number 1.
That it did on the Caitlyn, tried to scale up, did have some good damage later on, but just wasn't able to output enough in the team fights before he got caught out. It is a 2,000 gold lead for Splyce, and they're grouping up to look for this mid lane tower. It's a little bit of a 1-3-1 here from Splyce, and their composition doesn't scream 1-3-1 for me.
And I'll tell you why they're trying to do this. the kill pressure from a Kha'Zix and a Syndra out in a lane is so significant that, say, Nagne walks into top lane anywhere away from his tower and doesn't have vision on Trashy, well, you're dead. Because you get stunned, in comes the Kha'Zix, you get killed. The same can be said with the Cho'Gath. Insta-kill presence in the bottom lane with that Feast, with the stacks. I want to check how many Wonders got. 7 stacks already, 2 from monsters, 4 from minions, 1 from a champion. So he is already at that point where the only stacks he'll get now are from Dragon and Champions and Baron. But that's okay for him. He's not going to lose any of the 7.
It's pretty beastly. And at the moment, you don't lose any on death, as you say. Prophet is just going to have to walk away from this top side, and Splyce will look for some damage on towards the tower. Kobbe, you still haven't broken out that Duskblade on a champion yet.
I still want to see it. I just want to see him like one pop.
One bang, one deeg. One deeg across the map.
Yeah, well, you know, 4 shots in the chamber, basically the same.
It's basically exactly the same thing. NIP will trade a turret here in the bottom lane. This is what we like to see from teams that are behind. As much as, yes, you're losing a tier 2 tower for a tier 1, you're still getting some of that gold back, getting a small sliver of hope for yourself.
I feel like with that vocabulary, you like flirted with the idea of FPS casting. Didn't quite go into it with the 1D, but it's okay.
My home is League. My home is League. Maybe I did that to my patience. Maybe that's another reason I had to quit. In the middle of surgery, I was just like, 1D, 1D.
This is, oh, okay, I was on a completely different page. That was very dark, but one page that we want to look at is going to be the mid lane page of Kobbe not hitting Nagne.
What a shame.
With his W.
Has now got a rapid fire cannon as well, so he can get that Duskblade proc from further away if he wants to use it. Shook is going to get caught out by 4 members of Splyce here. They aren't able to collapse, but for the time being, Splyce just have the freedom to roam wherever they want on the map. They're looking for an Infernal Drake to add to their collection.
And I love the ability for Duskblade to allow you to clear out wards. It allows you to set up vision control and then maybe set up a fight.
Infernal Drake, Glacial Fissure onto Shook as well. Here comes the TP, but Shook is just dead. Kobbe opens up the big guns. Can he catch on towards Nagne? Not quite. As Sprattle will be the sacrifice. Wonder goes forward. Flash, Beast, not quite enough. Nagne gets away off towards the back of the fight, but Splyce are not done yet. They want Sprattle. He escaped them once. He's not going to escape today. And Prophet joins the fray, but way, way, way too late.
Splyce with a team fight win. Going to get the mid tower as well. Wonder will be upset he doesn't get an extra stack from that, but Splyce will be happy as a whole because it's all going in their favor. Baron is spawning, and that is a bit of a risky objective right now, considering that Feast is no longer available. But look, Splyce start the team fight off. They actually deny a lot of the escape there, as if they'd have taken the Lantern, they would have got caught. The Ruptures there, you've got the Silence in the team fight as well. Those are the presents that Cho'Gath can bring, and ooh, not
without the
enough.
Heal, he dies.
Yeah, without the heal, it would have been enough. There's actually that indicator. I'm pretty sure that's probably what baited Wonder, is if that indicator comes on, you know you can get the kill with Feast.
You see like jaws underneath the champion.
Cues up the animation.
There was a great shockwave from Nagne in that fight, which is why he did so much damage. Actually hit onto 4 members of Splyce, but he just doesn't have the items behind him yet. And once again, we see Splyce with a gold lead at the 20-minute mark in the 7 games. 8 games, in fact, 8 games. Trying to do maths in my head, I told you this goes badly. In the 8 games that Splyce have had a lead at the 20-minute mark, they are 7-1. They have won 7 of them. They have lost only 1. NIP always lose when they're behind at the 20-minute mark.
Wow, this stats team, I'm not being condescending on this. Stats team just buzzed me to say that is correct. So, Medic, he got it. The math was correct. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be condescending, but I thought I'd let you know.
I think it's important.
They're here for you. It's a safety net.
Yeah, it's important to remember these things. Especially since I'm trying to do it from memory a lot of the time. Splyce are going to set up towards this Baron. Look at the lack of vision for NIP. They have no idea where Splyce are until they put down a ward, and then they know. But that is correct.
That is correct. I wish somebody would buzz me every single time and be like, yeah, you said something that was correct. That's great.
It's like positive reinforcement.
Exactly. So for Splyce, one of the reasons why they can afford to go over to the Baron Pit, we talked about that. Feast, of course, does a significant amount of damage. 2 monsters as well, 1,000 damage. You can just easily eat that Baron down. That means that NIP have to be very cautious of the fact that Splyce can get it quick. The difficulty they do have, though, is the fact that NIP are starting to get a little bit closer to scaling in this game. They're a long way off still, but now that Frozen Mallet is completed for Prophet, it means he does assume a little more control on the side lane. They gotta be careful of that.
And that's something I want to see a little bit more from Prophet. Yes, you can join team fights. He doesn't have teleport at the moment, so he's a little bit more grouped with his team. But we saw in game 1 how strong that Camille was from Wunder in the split push. Prophet now has the lead. He's ahead on items. He can split push into this Cho'Gath, and assuming he's able to dodge away from the Feast and away from the Rupture, he can chase the Cho'Gath down.
And that's one way that NIP are going to have to slow this game down, is by pushing with Prophet, dragging Splyce around the map. Now, how to Splyce accelerate the game with their comp is looking for these long-range catches. Secure vision, start Baron, try and get NIP to commit. Still no teleport available. If NIP overcommit to defending this, Splyce will start a fight, but here comes Shook.
Wonder's here, he has the Feast, and he will feast down on a Baron. Shook gets away, but Splyce secured the objective.
Yeah, there's the strength of that Cho'Gath in the Baron pit. Of course, Shook not able to match anywhere near that damage. 1,000 damage is what you're expecting out of junglers with Smite at level 18, but here comes the follow-up fight.
Mickey getting chased down, will stand beside me. The hook does not land from Sproutle. And Splyce may look for the re-engage. That was some damage onto Prophet. Wasn't a squishy target, so the Duskblade wasn't as impressive as it could have been. Wonder's gonna get sped up here. Here comes the curtain call as well. Is this curtains for NIP? Prophet says no, he wants to jump forward onto Mickey. Sankuk's up towards the side, but Shook gets destroyed, absolutely melted away. And now they're gonna chase in. Prophet there, Nugni, able to survive through the unleashed power. NIP running for the win.
Splyce don't actually need to continue committing on this unless they get crowd control. Remember, they already have the Baron.
They're going to, though. Sproutle so low. Cobby flashes the wall for the kill. That's the aggression we like to see. Nagne, Hiku, and Prophet just running away as fast as they can. Cobby survives. Hiku there as well. It's another kill. Will Hiku get one? He will. But NIP clean it up, and they will take the ace.
Splyce coming out significantly ahead from that. The ace in their favor, and now Splyce will look to take away some of the structures from NIP. Of course, that mid inner, bot inner tower still available, but look, Splyce didn't need to commit to the end of that fight. They just made sure they put NIP so far behind that this game is all but done. And look at who is one of the carries again. Senkux on this Syndra. Looked great in game 1, same again in game 2, and it was NIP that tried to start this fight off. Look, they go aggressive, trying to get the fight in their favor, and Splyce have enough on the back end of this to turn it around. Senkux is barely even close to this fight, and Splyce is just biding their time, trying to get the slow here as Hiku got caught by the W from Kha'Zix, but from there, Splyce output the damage, walk through the fight, and then get Hiku running out early, and that means Hiku can't offer anything, and Splyce can just continue marching forward. Cobby on this Jhin with this Duskblade. We wanted to see a big performance from him. And the flash over the wall says bang, bang! He shut them down in the bottom lane. Unfortunately, not enough to take out Prophet at the same time.
He does get Prophet afterwards, though. Oh,
yeah,
Trashy.
He takes out Prophet, but then it's Hiku he actually can't get. That's what I meant to say. It doesn't matter. Trashy is able to take him out in the end of all things. Splyce get the ace.
Look at that damage from a Jhin.
Just a little bit. I feel like maybe some of the essence of SKT has become trapped in their skin.
Exactly. This is my theory, Stress, and I'm so glad you brought this up. Did I share this with you before?
You did.
Okay, here is my theory, right? SKT have lost every game they played on 7.13. 7.13 is the patch where SKT skins came out. SKT's skill is now in SKT's skins, and no one on SKT uses their skins. We're gonna see Prophet go up in the top lane. That's ruined my point, Splyce. Good kill, Trashy, well done. It was a great point, guys, remember, okay? Anyway, Splyce are now 9,000 gold ahead, and they can push in with this Baron.
Guys, Medic just told everybody the secret. I think we gotta get Medic out of here. Can someone just take him away?
Sorry.
He's giving the game away.
This is why they don't let me cast every week.
If you don't see Medic next week, just don't worry. It's
if you actually distilled the souls of SKT into the skins.
Shh. We figured that out a long time ago.
Oh, it seems to be working at the moment for Splyce as they're gonna push down this mid lane. Such a dominating performance by them as they have 4 members here. They don't even need their Fed Syndra. They are happy just to set it up with the rest of the squad, and it looks like Trashy might be going towards a Duskblade of his own.
Maybe. He's got that null magic, so maybe he's going to take a little stop off at a Hex Drinker before that. He'll end up building more of Malmortius in the end of it just before. So this was a top lane fight that we were postulating about SKT over, which Wunder actually plays pretty well. Denies a lot of the early game damage, looks for some of the sustain, and then walks forward back and forth in this fight, buying the time for Trashy. Trashy jumps into the fight. And what do you know? Prophet doesn't have too much more left after they get the damage out. Couldn't get the ult out because the silence comes through from Wunder, and Prophet ends up falling.
And I'm very impressed by this Trashy performance as well. On a jungler that doesn't suit his usual playstyle, in fact, he's only played Kha'Zix once before this split, he has been able to make ganks, he's been able to make plays, he is the most killing member of his team, and he's looking for another one as he jumps onto Prophet, who will get the Lantern to safety.
But look, the job's done. You force Prophet back to base, you push the bot lane, you push the mid lane, you continue pushing in the game. Splyce still need a little extra oomph. Very similar to game one. Very similar game overall, in the fact that Splyce are likely going to need a second Baron to finish this.
There is an Infernal Drake for them as well.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I've called both of these games around the 15-minute mark when the first dragon's gone down.
You are a prophet.
What can I say? At the moment, Hiku is going to get caught out by the Glacial Fissure. The curtains open and Wunder noms him down. He gobbles him up. It is going to be a shutdown up towards the top of the fight as Senkux falls as well. Shook engages, but where's the rest of your team? Nowhere near. Wunder gets a double, and Splyce get 2 for 1.
Yeah, Splyce not yet in time for the Baron, so they're just going to continue pushing in the top and mid lanes, or at least head through towards the bottom lanes of Splyce. This is just back-to-back fights that they're just crushing through NIP. NIP don't have enough time to really recoup in between these fights. Again, we're going to see Prophet try and run Wunder down. This time, no help for Wunder.
Wallop comes out. There's the Gnar as well into the wall, and Prophet will back away. Wasn't sure where Kobbe and Mickey were. But this is what we wanted to see from Prophet a long time ago. This split push Gnar can work wonders into Wunder. I didn't intend that, I apologize.
Yeah, you did.
No, it's the first time I've cast Splyce, so I'm not used to avoiding the puns.
Well, we had to drop Ware off, or he dropped Ware off his name, and that was the most confusing thing for a year. You just say Wunder all the time, but look, Hiku ends up dying before the shots even connect from Kobbe, and Senkux trades most of Nagne's health off in a 2 versus 1 on the top side. But look, Splyce is so far ahead of these fights that it's so difficult for NIP to destroy through this Cho'Gath, to contend with the damage from the Jhin and the Syndra. And look at how little damage NIP put out themselves.
Hiku especially, 134 damage on an AD carry in a mid to late game teamfight is disappointing to say the least. Coming back to sort of where things went wrong for NIP, you have to feel that Shook just hasn't had the impact he would have liked on this Gragas. His body slams have been prioritized towards Mickey. We will see Spuddle called off towards the side. Mickey is going to get knocked back, but once again he escapes. Spuddle dead to Senkux. 14 kills to 4 for Splyce now, and they don't look like they're done. For the time being, they don't want any more.
Very composed by Wunder in the bottom lane and the rest of Splyce, because Mickey looked like he was going to drop, but Wunder didn't even start channeling the TP. Look at how much Wunder just pushes the lane, just walks up 2 autos, walks back away. This Cho'Gath is huge. Currently on 9 stacks, is dealing a lot of damage. That E is doing 8.5% of the enemy's damage right now.
8.5% max HP
health, yeah,
on each proc of that E, and you get 3 per auto, per set as well. So it's an incredible amount of damage. Scales infinitely, and at the moment Splyce are looking to scale into the late game with a Baron. They will disengage from it for the time being. Prophet pushed off towards the side by Senkux. Here comes the engagement. Wunder, Hiku! Goodbye, my son! Nothing you can do against Wunder when he wants to nom you down. And Splyce will take another kill.
That's disgusting.
It's gross.
That is so disgusting.
That's the sort of thing, like, in a solo queue game, I would be just spamming FF now. I'm just like, I'm done. I can't play against the Cho'Gath this bit.
So, Wunder has 4,500 health before Stoneplate. Then he pops Stoneplate. Probably around 7,000, but look, Baron has been started. Smite Cam is up.
Yeah. Mickey there, now into the wall on Wunder as well, and Splyce will have to stop the Baron as they catch out Shook. Wunder still unkilled, Mickey gets another, and this is Splyce just cleaning up. They they will get the delayed ace, and perhaps they'll look to break the base of NIP.
Splyce is just going to push through on this. There's no way of stopping them. Only Hiku lives. And look at that cooldown on Feast. Medic, if Hiku gets too close to Wonder. Now, there's no stone plate.
You can take him,
Hiku. Wonder, full health. He's just going to pop that right. Oh, no, doesn't have Righteous Glory yet. It's not quite going to be destined for that Feast.
Splyce might just look to close the game here. Look at stress. 19 kills to 4. Oh, I see. It was the Duskblade Fox. We got what we wanted. We got what we wanted, and Splyce are going to get what they want as well. They'll take the Nexus turrets down. They will look for the win. Easy peasy lemon squeezy say Splyce as they take a comfortable 2-0 victory over NIP.
That was convincing out of Splyce. From the minute the game started in Game 2, it realistically looked in their control. 7-1 and 4 for Senkos. Good setup through the game, and this Cho'Gath in the top lane was just too difficult for NIP to deal with. Maybe it wasn't from the minutes they started. NIP did have that one gank on the top side that took out Wonder, but then Splyce just grouped very effectively and pushed their lead very well.
And it was the sort of performance we wanted to see from Splyce as well. They face up against Misfits on Sunday this week. A big match for those middle-of-the-table teams challenging for the playoffs. Perhaps even a quarter-final in the offing, a semi-final in the offing between these two teams. And the winner of that will be a lot more confident coming out of cross-group play.
Looks on the up for Splyce. When you look at a performance like that, sure, it was against a team they are expected to beat. Anybody that predicted a 2-1 probably was discounting Splyce a lot on that, but I think I want to see them against some of the tough competition that you're talking about. Potential semi-finals setups. That's what I want to see from Splyce, because that's been where they faltered, is where they don't get these significant early game advantages in the lane. And they just managed to really outplay through the bottom lane, through the middle lane, outplay NIP and get what looked like quite an easy win.
Well, the questions we asked about Splyce coming into the day was could they play around their draft? Could they match the expectations that are set in that drafting phase? And their draft today was very strong. They got exactly what they wanted, and they actually played to it as well, which is what I love to see. Their early game in both games didn't need to be strong because they scaled into mid, and when they got to that mid game, they were able to take the advantages they needed.
So a lot of fun stuff today. Lots of things I want to hear the analyst desk talk about.
Yeah, Splyce pulled off a powerful 2-0 victory against the Ninjas in Pajamas. Let's check in on the analyst desk for more on today's series.
Thank you very much, guys. We are just setting up for an interview with some of the Splyce boys, of course. So we can talk about a couple of specific things, but I first want to start with Cho'Gath. Obviously, Alphari, we saw it in the top lane. We'd previously seen it in the jungle only. In general, what do you make of Cho'Gath top, and what do you make of it in the matchup versus Gnar?
I think Cho'Gath top is generally, it's a good pick, Cho'Gath. It's a really strong flex pick. It's like a top-tier jungler at the moment. And most of his matchups top lane, it can just farm because of his passive, and he has very low mana costs on his spells, so he's kind of safe for laning. He does have some counter picks, like we saw NIP try Gnar, which is good. It's one of the better picks against Cho'Gath, in that the lane phase is kind of even. Cho'Gath will have push for some levels, but then once Gnar has 1 or 2 items, he will always have priority in a side lane against him, and if not, Cho'Gath oversteps, he'll just chase him down. But in this game, NIP, but by the time Gnar had 2 items, they were already too far behind to actually make use of this pick, so Cho'Gath just looked really broken.
So, question for the two of you, for everyone at home hoping to pick Cho'Gath and abuse him. Top lane, any tips or tricks people should know?
Max W. I don't know. He's a really easy champion.
Okay.
Maxwell can play it.
Jungle? That's good. Jungle tips for the people at home in solo queue?
Max E, farm your jungle, gank lanes of CC, and then it's over.
Over.
Well, yeah, obviously the lessons we learned is always paired. If you have a form of strong CC, then it's pretty easy actually to get the ganks off. And we also see that the interview is setting up, or is set up. I didn't quite catch that, but we'll be talking to the Splyce about in just a second. It is almost ready. Other things we saw were the Jhin. The first time we saw the Jhin pick actually here, and I know that you're always frustrated when the Ashe doesn't come out, but in the end, obviously, it seemed like they could have a bit of creativity in their picks. So do you think the argument of I feel like I'm not doing any damage on Ashe is something that should go, because she does provide so much utility, and it is something that slapped EU around at Rift Rivals as well?
And if she can actually get to sit in teamfight with a Q, she does deal a lot of damage, but it's hard to play her. There's the risk you miss your arrow and everyone flames you on Reddit. That's a bad thing.
Yep.
It's also the risk that you have no mobility and you have, you walk into the team fight and you want to activate that
What about
Q.
Jhin? Or is the range helping?
Well, you
there?
have very long range on Jhin, right? On Ashe, you walk into a team fight and there's like 3 tanks in your face and you feel like you don't do anything. So it hurts the AD carry's ego to pick Ashe, and that's why they all step away from it.
That is why we don't see it. You agree with that, Maxlor?
Somewhat, but as a jungler, it's really annoying to be doing your third camp and then just seeing an E fly over your face. And suddenly you don't have that much early pressure anymore. An enemy jungler could be anywhere. He could just be killing you in your jungle. It's really annoying to play against. But fortunately, as you said, no one really plays it in EU.
Mind games
exactly.
activated, not yet. Well, player of the series was Senkux. 2 games on Syndra, did fantastically well. Obviously not the hardest matchup, even though Nagne is obviously a formidable opponent in that mid lane. You don't agree? Was it easy for him?
I think it was pretty easy. I don't
right.
think Nagne in the laning phase has shown absolutely anything in almost in all
right.
the games I've watched NIP play. So when you get Syndra and your team is already winning and you have a pretty free laning phase, I think Senkux had a very easy time today.
Did. And much like the previous series, it's kind of hard for me to draw conclusions as for Splyce if they have rebounded, yes or no, but we can jump on that topic in a second because Splyce came out on top and we're going to talk to one of their winners, actually 2, the top laner and the jungler.
Thank you much, Shucks. And yeah, always 2 better than 1. So gentlemen, congrats on your win. And before we really get started with this thing, I just got to ask you, man, that Cho'Gath was really, really, really big. How many stacks did you end on?
I think I got like 11 stacks.
Holy moly.
Yeah, my lane was kind of rough because they were playing like throughout both games, they were playing really hard around top. And like they like to snowball him and play with vision and pressure around top. So I just had to take one for the team and just farm it out. But in the end, I got really fed on stacks and like on team fights, and I ended up one-shotting the AD, which is always fun when you play Cho, of course. So, I mean, that's what I play for. So.
Well, it certainly worked out, and I actually got taken by surprise. I thought, Trashy, you'd be the guy to be picking up the Cho'Gath. What made you guys make this transition in the pick and ban phase?
I mean, the only time we actually play a tank top is when the champ is really OP, so that we kind of got this opportunity to put one down a tank where it's like, I can actually play this champ. I want to play this champion because it's so OP, so I was like, sure, bro, just take it. I don't mind. So, like, if he wants to play the OP champ, I don't mind. So that's kind of what it was.
Fair enough. You at least got to jump on a lot of people on that Kha'Zix, but Wonder, back to you. It seemed like a really clean series for Splyce. Were you really expecting it to be, kind of that easy one and done despite a rocky laning phase?
I think when we play against an IP, like judging from previous series as well, their early game is probably their strongest part. So they drafted kind of around the early game too, and we knew we had the game if we just survived and like played respectful on the lanes that they were playing around. So I felt pretty confident, honestly. I thought we would take the series, and obviously they haven't won a series yet, so it would be strange if I weren't like just a bit confident at least.
Oh, absolutely. And now, it's seeming like you guys were under a little bit of pressure because you'd been on a couple of week losing streak. Admittedly, that's against some top teams in the other group, but did you feel like you really had to step up and perform today?
Personally, I didn't really mind too much about this game because I kind of knew we would just win the game with the state of how they're playing. Our real test is on Sunday against Misfits. I think all of us were actually really disappointed with how we played against the top teams. We were not playing to the level we know we can play at. So for us, this win doesn't really show anything, in my opinion. We just need to show it against better teams.
Well, interesting point. Okay, so you have another tougher opponent coming up, but at the same time, you're sitting very comfortably in that 3rd place spot in your group, which means playoffs. What has to happen for Splyce to be able to leapfrog some of those other guys, the H2Ks, the Unicorns of Loves ahead of you?
I think what happened is we got a new thing in our house. It's a guy called Boris, and he's gonna make it happen.
All right, shout out for Boris. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Congratulations on your victory. Okay, let's send it back over to Shocks and crew at the analyst desk to close out the day.
Pyra!
Who's
How
this
can you not
Boris?
ask about Boris? Who is Boris?
Apparently he's going to help Splyce. It is 2-0 today.
Illustrious. We have someone named Boris who's going to help us out. Personal trainer, cook, maybe.
Maybe he's going to dumpster Misfits. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he is the X factor that's going to, when Sunday you guys play versus each other. Aren't you scared? Boris, man.
I really hope Boris falls ill or something, because right now I have no chance.
But
No
he's not on
confidence.
stage.
That's the point.
We don't
He's
know.
a mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, if he falls ill, I guess, never mind.
All right,
He's
well,
at home in the house. So
What a
we just have to play.
cliffhanger. What a cliffhanger. But you guys are playing Splice on Sunday. So my question I was going to before the interview, obviously it's hard to tell relative level of a team when they play a team that is not supposed to win versus them. So what do you think of Splice now, the official?
I mean, but that's the hard thing, right? Because
Right.
it makes it very difficult to say if Splice are looking fantastic. I think we can judge the draft. Did they kind of understand the meta the way the UK lads and myself are looking at the meta right now? I think last game they went for Kha'Zix instead of a third tank, which is obviously a negative in Maxlaw's book right there. There was no Maokai coming in. I think overall, though, they had really good grasp of what to do with their draft in this meta from their side. Just would like to see the Ashe. That's basically it.
We would like to
But
see
that's a
that.
small thing. So I think Spice in that case showed some good things. But it was pretty easy because they play NIP.
Yeah, Banter Squad, how well are you going to beat Splice on Sunday, Maxlor?
How well are
By
we
how much? Oh, I can't English.
Are you going to beat them?
Yeah,
Well,
I got to dominate them.
yeah. Of course. I just have to bribe Boris.
Right, whoever Boris is. Well, we may find out. We are going to talk about your series, though, because Maxlor and Alphari with Misfits, you guys beat the Mysterious Monkeys earlier today, and it turned out to be a very dominant win. And things we were looking at before coming into this is that Power of Evil has been very consistent all split, but sometimes it seemed that that was the only thing you guys could rely on to kind of snowball games or end games, and in the mid game it would go to the wayside. Is that specifically something you guys have trained on?
Well, on Power of Evil being a coin flip player.
No,
Are you
no, no, no.
On relying on him a bit too much maybe to win games because their famous Misfits late game has not been too great this split.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it just depends who we're playing around. Most of the time it's going to be mid because mid jungle is like a combo. It just goes together, you know, and mid lane is, I would say, the most OP role in competitive if you play it properly with your jungler. So obviously, if you're playing around your mid laner, which I think most teams should, or some teams already do, like H2K and G2, then you can pick up a lot of wins. On occasion, you can go top and bot, but it's mainly mid lane and jungle.
Yeah, player of the series was Ignar. Meta-wise, it seems to fit you guys, and we always say that when Ignar has these champions where he can just totally engage the fight and make something happen. How do you feel you guys do in the meta right now, Alphari?
I mean, I know Ignar likes the meta at the moment, being able to play a lot of these tank supports. That's kind of fits his playstyle. He doesn't like the caster supports as much. So champions like Braum, Thresh, he likes them a lot more. You know, he likes to be able to engage, make flashy plays. It fits his playstyle, and he's really good at engaging.
Max was
Don't
trying
worry,
to be
he
careful.
didn't leak anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that Ignar prefers to play engage support instead of Karma. Pretty obvious.
I'm just holding him back here. He
That's
might
fine.
have said a few more support picks.
Yeah,
but it's-
Maxlor is trying to not have Alphari give too much information to the enemies. Maxlor, you have been very outspoken about how you feel that in the meta, it's very much ARAM meta. Everyone can go mid, and if you have a better comp, you can just beat them. Or was that paraphrased incorrectly?
Well, it's not only about the better ARAM composition, it's more playing the early game with these tanks or these picks that are not so great early game compared to a Kha'Zix or something, and then just getting to mid-late and just playing them really good, understanding macro better than the enemy, which I do believe we do, but we just need to be more consistent in our drafts and our gameplay, and we should be able to conquer Europe.
So, Alphari, last split, you came in as a rookie, hot name, everyone talked about it, won every laning phase, was super dominant early on. This split, it's been, in the laning phase at least, like somewhat average. We haven't really seen you like dumpster other people. And I'm saying I'm not flaming you by any means, I see your reaction, Maxlor. What has changed in your role or the way you're playing the game compared to last split?
I mean, the obvious answer has to be, you know, kick out to Maxlor.
Probably, I'm hoping you were going to say that.
Maxlor is, you know, better late game, but early game he's maybe, you know, not as helpful. So.
Well, but Maxlor helped you throw a 7,000k gold lead versus H2K, though, so I don't know.
That was impressive, though.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Actually, I don't know why he kicked Kakao.
Apparently camping top is just not enough. I mean, in our Unicorns of Love game, I was Gragas against Elise, which you're meant to lose early, but I sacrificed my own farm to counter gank top lane, get my top lane ahead, and unfortunately, I would say some players were born to carry, others should just stick to tanks. Waiting for Maokai top to come back, Misfits and win worlds.
I feel like this might spark some heavy discussions within the Misfits team.
I mean, you know they're sitting home in the gaming house watching this and they're laughing.
Yeah, I know.
Because they obviously deal with these guys, lads,
Banter,
whatever.
banter,
every
indeed.
day.
Let's take a look at the standings. Not that much banter. It's getting serious. Misfits Gaming strengthening their position in Group A. Obviously, G2 is back on the board and they're playing better, so that must be a bit scary. And I'd also like to turn the attention to another bet. I think like the Fisho just attracts bets. He had the slap bet. He had the haircut. He had the haircut bet with perks for not dropping a game. And now you guys are talking about Misfits getting to Worlds, which is, I think it's a bit disrespectful to make a bet out of it because this is their one-year plan. This is their goal. This is what they're playing for. This is what they're funny.
That's why it's funny.
Run us through the bet.
Max Lore is saying that Misfits will make Worlds. I'm saying Misfits will not make Worlds for the sake of the bet. I'm not saying they can't make Worlds. That's not what I'm saying.
They also had some trouble coming up with what would be kind of the bet, what anyone would have to do. So if you have any ideas, tweet at RiotOfficial, tweet at MaxLore, I think it is. Or is it MSF MaxLore?
No, it's Max Lore.
MaxLore, and
Max
say
Lore.
what you want the bet to comprise of. But seriously, that is the one-year goal. And obviously, that is what's constantly being referred to when we talk to your team. So how much are you constantly kind of thinking about that? Is it going to be a huge failure? What if the 3 teams that stand up just turn out to be better at this point in time?
Well, I'd say our mindset is just not to go in and be scared of every other team getting better and just focus more on ourselves and try to get better ourselves, because we all believe that we are one of the low-key, one of the best teams in Europe. We just need to put it off on stage.
Right.
Well, I actually want to ask about that because I hear that from pro players now. I feel like every second week for the last 3 years of scrims are awesome, or what we're doing in scrims doesn't translate to stage. How do you try and translate it to stage? Like, what's missing? Is it people are not playing as aggressive? Is it their shot calling breaks down? Alfari, any idea? Like, why is it so different in scrims compared to stage?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think there's like a particularly big difference between playing in scrims and playing on stage. Perhaps people play a little bit more scared, like a little bit more reserved, particularly during the laning phase, the early game in particular. But yeah, I don't really see a difference.
I mean, it could also be that in EU, like, it's easier to win scrims than it is on stage because there's the whole never give up on stage, but in scrims it might not be like that. But I believe we're a team that plays very similar to in scrims as we do on stage.
Sure.
However, we still have things we need to work on. We've done pretty good for our drafts this week. We've improved them a lot, in my opinion, and we've kind of laid down an agreement between all 5 players of champs we should all play and what our comp does and what we should aim to get out of every game. So we just need to keep working together, I guess. And when we draft a new composition, maybe to counter this ARAM meta or whatever, then we need to sit as 5 again and work really hard. And I would say there's more to League than just playing and possibly watching solo queue replays or whatever. I'd say you have to watch a lot more LCK, which lots of teams don't. And you have to brainstorm more and talk more as a 5, have team meetings and just make sure that you're all on the same page. Because sometimes if one person is crumbling in terms of there's a game plan and he doesn't agree with it, then the whole team will fall.
All right, and a cornerstone of all that is obviously scrims as well. And I can't count how many times we've heard a team speak out on the fact that scrim culture in Europe is sometimes a bit crap, and you guys always allude to it, the fact that people turn to FF quickly when it's not going their way. So is it looking up? But you don't, obviously, no, you're not in the scrims, but...
No.
Is it looking up, the scrim culture?
I mean, we try not to FF, even though we might want to.
Yeah.
But other teams still FF a lot.
Well, is that really what it is only? Like, because you always say like, they're more aggressive in scrims than they are on stage, which I can understand.
Testing limits.
Testing limits, exactly. But is it mostly just giving up when the game seems unwinnable?
I think so. Like in scrims, it's a lot harder to get practice closing out games, I would say. Since, say a team gets Baron, like the enemy team might just, FF because they have Baron. Like, what can you do? It's unwinnable at that point. So, yeah.
Is this just a lack of discipline from European players? And I'm sure this problem also happens in other regions, not just in Europe specifically, but not being able to sit down as a team, as 5 members, all 10 teams in the LCS with a coach and managers and all they got and say, for the next 5 hours, it's focus, try not to tilt, it's just practice, but still like focus and don't actually FF the game. Like that seems like something that should be doable. Like this late into League of Legends as a professional game, like we are 5-6 years into like the professional seasons.
I'll say it's more because they want to practice and stuff, but once one team gets an early lead when they shouldn't or something, there's a whole mindset of if enemies play perfect, there's no counterplay, but there's no I would say one, people don't believe in the fact that enemies can make mistakes and don't think of ways to punish them. Like Fnatic are pretty good at that. And secondly, I would say it's because people think it's a waste of practice after messing up so many times. Just say like, say if you just get like lose 8k gold lead in scrims, most people will just FF, right? But we lost a game when we had an 8k gold lead.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Aren't there enough examples to counter that in professional play when there even shouldn't be as big of a lead? So I don't know.
I would just say, as I said before, in scrims, you really don't get anything from winning. You don't get a reward. You don't get a point closer to playoffs. You don't get anything. It's just like maybe personal feeling for some people to win. Like I love winning, so it kind of sucks when you lose.
Yeah, but it's about the gains in terms of practice and experience.
Yeah, because
right?
I mean, your reward obviously comes doing LCS then, but you don't notice the improvements.
Yeah, but some people still have the mindset of like, oh, it's useless practice after we get to this point, you know, like just go next, you know, which is, I would say, time efficient if the next game is going to be really worth it. But normally it's like, if one team FFs at 10, it's a continuing trend for the rest of the day.
If you play 20 scrims in a week, how many of those are useful, you think, in your eyes?
To be honest, even if the enemy's FF or something like this, I think mostly when it comes to scrims being useful, it just depends on your own team. So as long as we perform the same and learn something from every game, so like we don't randomly get caught when we're not supposed to, then we will always learn something, right? But if we're going through the scrims and making these mistakes, skipping out steps for vision, for example, that we normally wouldn't, then yeah, it's a waste of time. And I wouldn't go as far as FFing. I'll just like redo the whole process again and like be more disciplined about it. But I would say, as I said, just to close on the point, if you want practice, you just have to make sure as a team you perform the best. And even if the enemies are inting, you're still going to learn something.
Alphari, as a pro player now, you obviously joined in Spring Split as a rookie. You're still 17. What is a normal day-to-day kind of schedule for you in terms of like, do you have a set time you have to wake up and start practicing solo queue into scrims and VOD reviews and team meetings, or like what is a normal day for you?
Well, we do have a set time we have to wake up at 12, but I like to wake up a little bit later than that.
Okay.
And my coach doesn't like it, but you know.
When does scrim start?
Discipline.
When does scrim start?
It starts at 1, 2 sometimes, depending on the enemy team. And then we'll scrim for like 3 or 4 hours, and then we have a break for like 2 hours, then we scrim the second block.
At 6 p.m.
And then we play solo queue, and then...
So when are you done with scrims?
10,
usually 9 or 10.
9 or 10?
10:30.
And then VOD
solo
reviews
queue.
after, or team meetings?
Well, we count like VOD reviews during scrims, because
scrims
like, are not going to last 1 hour, like per game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pro
it is...
Live as a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
a lot of gaming.
It's a lot of time investment, because I know we see it, of course, as gaming, and maybe people from the outside are like, oh, it's just gaming, but it's very intense activity, and it's something that you're doing for your job. So that's 10 hours of just scrimming, I would say, or 9 to 10 hours, and then solo queue for a couple of hours. It is very, very intense. Do you ever feel like you're getting a bit depleted in terms of that heavy training schedule? And you guys have been playing for a long time, and there are players that have had to play on the LCS stage for 5 years in a row now. So how are you guys dealing with that?
I would say you just have to balance your life out. So, for example, what I try to do is 1 day a week, I just try not to play any solo queue or play any league, just go out and have a real life, you know? Like, we try to do team activities like go-karting, or we're trying to set up paintballing, for example. However, it can be really hard since, especially if we lose a game and normally the next day is a free day, you just feel really motivated and you just like hate yourself, so you just want to play. But I would say it's more healthy to just not play once a week, or not force yourself to play if you don't want to. You know, just because it's your job and you're sometimes pressured by your own teammates. Because say if they see you slacking, maybe you just want to take a break. You know, I don't have this problem in my team. I can just watch TV all day if I wanted to. But I know we all work together, and it just depends on what kind of person you are. These older players, like, I know they don't play that much solo queue, and they might get flamed for it or something, but it's pretty healthy.
Yeah, that is obviously the counter argument. I had a follow-up question, but it escaped me. Maybe it comes back, but I do want to look ahead to tomorrow, because we have a very, very big matchup. Fnatic is going against the Unicorns of Love, facing off on the Rift. Let's take a moment to highlight the stakes before that upcoming standoff.
Into game 1 between Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love. Unicorns get the best. and steal. All of a sudden, Unicorns with 2 quick kills and 1 outer turret remaining. They're going to push Fnatic even further back. Chachi's going to go low. Teleports it down to 1200. Picked up by Fnatic. Chachi's going to go low. Teleports into Rocked. I cannot understand this game. Done it. Unicorns have beaten Fnatic. 33 minutes. Fnatic taking over Unicorns.
Wow, what a video. Going to be a thrilling fight tomorrow when the 2 title contenders take to the stage, made slightly less epic by the fact that Rocket was able to beat the Unicorns of Love 2 days ago. But it's going to be really exciting. And you saw, or you said the minute that the T's came up, Fnatic's going to win. Why is that?
I'd say it's because Unicorns of Love aren't really playing as much of it as a team in the early game, at least. Maybe mid-late game, they always do the same thing, just go mid, make a pick, etc. But early game, they have serious struggles, maybe communication or just people disrespecting the enemy jungler. And I would say that, for example, their Cho'Gath game the other day, the champs didn't really synergize that well. So I would say it's mainly draft and early game from Unicorns. And Fnatic, ever since, well, the change in AD carry picks, the games have been a lot easier for them. And they're kind of used to playing tanks in every role.
Are
so
the training wheels off?
Yeah, the handicap is just gone. You know, it's doomed for every team in Europe. But yeah, Fnatic should win.
What do you think of Fari?
I agree. I think Fnatic should win, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily as one-sided as Maxwell said. When he said it would be like a 2-0. I think Unicorns.
Fisher said it too.
Oh, so now you're pulling me down with you?
Yeah, I mean,
I did say that.
Stop interrupting the man.
Sorry.
Sure, but I think Unicorns are like so unpredictable that they could like take at least 1 game off or maybe even win the series. They fight so often, and Fnatic also like to fight. So I think it could come down to whoever team fights better, but I agree Fnatic should win.
I think it's a problem for Unicorns of Love that the playstyle they found success with is in many ways now the meta in terms of how you draft. You draft strong scaling like comms with tanks, you know, they can win big fights in the late game, so they don't actually have that advantage. Because they used to always draft better late game comps than the other teams, and the other teams would mess up the mid game, like Snowball, and Unicorns would get back in the game. That is no longer very easy. If you fall down 3-4k gold, and the enemy team has 3 tanks, you're not really going to win that fight. You're going to continue losing the fight. So that might actually be a big issue for them, that other teams can draft the same way.
Yeah, spot on. We'll see if it just turns into a full-out brawl. Who takes the edge there? The other match that's coming your way tomorrow is G2 Esports up versus Vitality. If I was Vitality, I would be a bit more scared than I would be last week, because G2 seems to have bounced back. Alphari, we've said G2 is back. How far do you think they are back to their biggest level or their highest level?
I think G2 are definitely can be considered like a top 2 team in Europe again. I don't necessarily think they're as dominant as they were last split. I think they still show some weaknesses, but I think there's not much hope for Vitality realistically. Looking at how G2 have been playing recently, I think it should be 2-0 for G2.
But they got Nuke Dog.
They do have Nuke Dog, but there's 5 players on G2.
Right.
Sad.
Come on, now you don't go with it. You're always, Nuke Dog, woo!
Hey, I'm all about the Nuke Dog hype train right now. I think he's doing really well, but it's an issue for them that you look at G2 right now, and again, we look at someone like Trick, who's a bit like Maxlaw, you know, these kind of junglers where if you put them on early game Snowball, it's not always the most consistent thing you've ever seen. But if you put Trick on a level 6 jungler, like a big tank, being a Graga, Sejuani, these kind of picks, he's really, really good. He's actually very smart in how he plays. So I think the fact that he's been struggling in the past, if you look at a bit of Spring Split and obviously a bit of MSI and a Summer Split, the fact he's back now and he's playing champs that really fit him is going to mean that he's looking super good, and that really helps G2.
So what you're saying is Maxlor is a future MVP.
I'm saying Maxlor is a future 2-time MVP.
2-time MVP. Same
split, he will get 2 MVPs.
And Maxlor, do you agree with the analogy to Trick as champion pool in his playstyle with you?
I would say it's just if you're really good on tanks and you're really good on carry champs, right now in the meta, it's better to be really good on tanks, which is why I would say me and Trick are able to perform more. But I disagree with his point, saying that I suck on these early game
Hey,
champs.
I didn't say that. I said a bit inconsistent.
I agree with the issue.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just easier to close out games on tanks compared to a Kha'Zix, for example. Because G2 drafted the Kha'Zix yesterday, and the game was a lot longer than when they drafted a Sejuani or a tank, you know?
Yeah. I'm sad we have to go. The banter was
Yeah, it's really
most
fun, actually.
enjoyable and also fantastic insight on scrim culture and whatnot. So thank you guys very much for joining me. You as well, Defee Show. As always, a pleasure. It's time for us to call it a night here from Berlin. Thank you very much for watching. And we will